that this kind of strength, are you there? It comes because you know your God. And the way the scriptures put this idea, he didn't say the people that don't know Jehovah, they'll be strong and they'll do exploits. He said the people that do know their God. So if someone knows the deity of the Volta region and he knows that deity well, that person will be strong and that person will have the capacity to do exploits. So if we check your life and we see that you do not have the strength to maintain your conviction if it's not popular, if we check your life and we realize that you like to behave like every other person, there's no uniqueness, there is nothing that you stand for that is not what the crowd is standing for, these are symptoms of lack of strength to prosecute destiny. There is no uniqueness that is going to come out of your life. Even though God may have ordained you to be a harbinger of new possibilities in the territory, because you lack strength, the first evidence of the lack of strength is compromise. Second evidence of the lack of strength is trying to be like everybody else. When you begin to navigate into the realm of personal conviction and you can stand your ground in spite of the trend, it's a proof of the fact that you are beginning to have deep roots in God. You have found God, and God has given you the definition of life, and you are stuck with that definition even though it may not be the recommendation of your generation. That's a proof that you found something. That's a proof that you encountered something. You are willing to defend it. You are willing to live by it. It means you have started manifesting evidences of strength, and that kind of strength cannot come except you have an experiential knowledge of God. The people that do know their God. Are you there? So if you find someone that knows the devil intimately, the person is not going to behave like the average student on this campus, the average lecturer on this campus. When the person is coming to, maybe the person is a lecturer or a student, the person goes and renews his intercourse with Satan and comes with some equipment that will facilitate his mission on the campus grounds. It might have mobile and stationary amulets with which he can invoke the presence of Satan. And even when you discover that that is his persuasion, there is nothing you can do to stop the person from that line of conviction, because the person knows that this is the source of my strength and this is the reason behind my exploits. Are you following now? So the person, because the person knows the potency of his affiliation with Satan, if you crack a joke and make the person look stupid because of his affiliation with Satan, the person will not take you seriously, because he has met Satan experientially and he knows how to take advantage of the spiritual resources that Satan makes available to do exploits. He won't behave like you. You sleep anytime. Maybe because of his interfacing with Satan, he has prescriptions as to when he can sleep. You are not following me? Yeah. He has prescriptions as to when he can sleep. He cannot sleep at every time. That lifestyle that has been shaped by reason of his intercourse with Satan forms the person's seat of conviction. When you find someone that has a conviction, are you there? And the weather wants to play with the conviction, but the person refuses to submit to the utterance of the weather, the utterance of the circumstances. It is as a result of the fact that the person knows his God. So if we look at your life, other people fornicate, you fornicate. Other people steal, you steal. People lie, you lie. You are not going anywhere. You have not yet known your God. And so we are not expecting that you will be strong. When pressure comes upon you, you will cave in because you don't have any root in the supernatural realm. And the possibility of doing exploits does not exist. I've met people that speak for Satan. And anytime I meet them, I always take that opportunity to prove to them that this kind of devotion, if you put it in the right way, the result it will produce will overwhelm you. Are you still with me? So if I come to the north now and I lack the ability to do exploits, it's an indication of the fact that I have not yet known the Lord. I want to ask you 3 questions. 3 questions. These questions will provide a very practical platform of evaluation. First question is, what can your prayer do? Your prayer. If something is going on, somebody has died, and they say, hey, somebody just died, and you come to the scene, and the weapon you have at your disposal is prayer. What can your prayer do? Jesus did not say pray for the sick to be healed. Jesus said heal the sick. You know, there are 2 different things. Let's try again. I said Jesus didn't say come and pray whether the sick will be healed or not. Jesus said what? Heal the sick. If Jesus is saying heal the sick, it means that there's an authority that a man can have that is superior to sickness. And when the man exercises that authority, sickness doesn't have any option but to bow. It's just, are you following what I'm talking about? He didn't say come and pray. He said heal. It's a command to exercise a certain dimension of authority. The person that is exercising that authority might do something like prayer. He might. Not every time, but he might do something like prayer, but the prayer will produce healing. So if you come on the scene and you do prayer, probably as a means to exercise the authority that heals, and if there's no healing at the end of your attempt, it's a proof that you don't know God. Now, if you don't know God, there is little that you can achieve, little that you can accomplish. Those days I was in public service. We were the field staff, so they posted us outside of the headquarters. And after 2, 3, 4, 5 years away from the headquarters, we now began to hear stories about the headquarters. Because everyone wants to do eye service to the next boss. Everyone wants to be in the good books of the next boss. It started like jealousy. Are you following what I'm talking about? Started like jealousy. Then it now became diabolical. In order for you to put yourself in the good books, because one of the fringe benefits that can come to you because you are in the good books is that they'll send you to the United Kingdom for training, send you to the US for training. Hallelujah. My name came out 3 times to go to the US. They manipulated it. Then 2 weeks to the course, the list, my name will now come out. You can't get a US visa in 2 weeks. Are you following? So you are not with me, you are not following what. So people now went diabolical. A time came in the headquarters, they'll say, okay, this one has cancer, that one has cancer, the other one has cancer. Now, why is it that everybody has cancer? They are doing exploits. Yeah, it's exploits. Yeah, it's demonic exploits. People go and consult with Satan, bring satanic power to the office to afflict the other person that tried to take favor away from him, away from her. Before we knew it, the headquarters was full of sickly, dying people owing to exploits. You are going to be a victim of life if you don't know God. Oh, many of our colleagues died on the field mysteriously. So even people that were not interested in the things of God started coming to us to ask, how do you Please help me preach to your neighbor, know God. I'm not talking about intellectual knowledge, because you have your notebooks and your textbooks and some of your lecturers are here. I'm not talking about the knowledge that you can acquire because you invest in the soil of your soul, as you are doing on campus. Every knowledge of God is experiential. It comes to an encounter. It comes to an intercourse. You must deal with God. You must deal with God in order for you to have spiritual knowledge. So there are only two sources of spiritual knowledge in the entire Bible. And number one is to deal with God. Have you heard the scripture that says that without faith it is impossible to please God? That he that cometh to God, if you have made up your mind that you are not going to go to the shrine, you will not go to the witch doctor, you will not go to the wizard, and you want to come to God, I hope you know that's a choice. Now, because you want to come to God, there are several principles that you cannot discard. He said, he that cometh to God must believe. There is a faith requirement if you are going to come to God. You don't just come to God. There's a procedure. There are laid down principles that is going to govern your coming. And when you come to God, are you there? You following me? The fact that you have come to God is a proof. One thing it means is that you have decided to submit to God's wisdom. The way God will solve the problem may not be the way you want the problem solved. When you come to God, it means you submit to God's timing. It's a surrender to his timing. Are you there? If you don't have the capacity to survive the waiting period, because God is not a servant, God is a king, and when you come to consult him, he will only act when he wants to act. The fact that you shed tears will not make him act. Are you there? He will only act because he wants to act. You will need to pay the price of waiting on his majesty. He that cometh to God. No, the other day some young men went for prayers in the bush, in the thick bush, and when they were coming back very early in the morning, they met an elder in the church in a nearby shrine consulting Satan. So they entered into the shrine and brought the elder out and began to ask him, why are you here? Say, my children, God takes time. Say God, Jehovah, it takes time. You see, the reason why the elder ended up with the devil was because he was not willing to follow the prescription of what it takes to come to God. God will not give you strength just like that. You will come to him. You will survive his terms. You will submit to his strategy. You will submit to his method. You will submit to his timing. That is what it means to have faith in God. It means you trust his strategy. You trust his method. You trust his timing. You trust his approach. You have died to your approach. You have died to your attempts. You have died to your wisdom. So you are locked on God, on God's timing, on God's ways, on God's style.